Hi, I'm Nick.
And I'm Josh.
And this is the PUDs Podcast. Noel's already gone.
It's just funny hearing it like in action.
Funny to see.
I know.
It's art. This is art.
It's not as glamorous as you think it is.
Sorry.
We're good. We're done.
No.
No more intros. She's crying.
It's the funniest thing ever.
Damn, I wish you laughed this hard at what we're talking about on the podcast.
Maybe
There's something about
visual
seeing it.
person, yeah. Oh.
Maybe we do gotta start recording, like taking videos of us podcasting.
Yeah.
Maybe people would be into that.
They
So
could be
much
super funny.
sync too, like you both.
We're
like,
just lean in.
But then you did like eye contact.
You can tell you.
Yeah, because we gotta know. We gotta know when we're
You
gonna
guys are
go.
pros now. You can just
That
tell.
was funny.
You just gave each other the look and just.
We're listed.
Yeah,
we're
it's the
listed on
look.
all the major platforms. We are pros.
All right, man. So what's up?
What's going on, buddy?
Nothing much. I think we got a couple special guests with us today.
Yeah, we do have a couple special guests, but before we get into that, let's get into the scramble.
The scramble. It's like, what was it called again? The scramble. So, the thing I find most interesting today that I had to bring up is that despite how Josh has vehemently protested against becoming a T-ball coach, it turns out he helped out in his son's first T-ball game as a T-ball coach for first base.
Dude, I got suckered in. I got suckered right into it. Like, and you know, I have such an issue with, like, disorganization. Like, I need things to be, like, organized. And so Jeremiah had T-ball, and it was a long day of T-ball. So we started at 7:15 in the morning. Pictures, all that, team picture, all that stuff. And then a parade at 10. And then the game wasn't until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So we show up for the game at 3, and it's just literally my son and one other kid there. And the other team's all lined up on their side. They're all playing pass with one another and all that. So I go bring my son over to his dugout, and I'm like, get him and the other kid to at least try to play catch with one another, but he was just doing his own thing and pretending like somebody spilled Legos on the floor and was pretending to jump over them. But that's a whole other thing. So I'm like, I go do that. The coaches aren't there yet. There's nobody else there, so I'm over there with them. So at least they're on the field. And then the coaches finally show up, and I'm like, all right, the coaches are here. Like, I don't need to be around here anymore. I'm just a spectator.
You're trying to slip out of it really quick.
Yeah, I'm just a spectator at this point. Like, and then so I go back to the bleachers, sit down with my wife, and like Jeremiah's grandparents, Melissa's parents are there, and I sit down and I see all the other kids start to go over there, and the coaches are going over there, and they're trying to get them to play pass, and I notice that my son has the glove on the wrong hand. And I notice that nobody's doing anything about it. I notice all these kids running around and the absolute chaos that's happening. And Melissa's dad starts to say to me, like, oh, how long do you think until you decide to go on there and coach? And he didn't even get the sentence out, and I'm already starting to walk over to the coaches. And I walk over to Jeremiah, and I'm like, all right, Jeremiah, like, your glove's on the wrong hand. Remember, you're a lefty, so the glove goes on your right hand, and you throw with your left hand. And
I
he's
think
like,
with most kids are righties, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah. I think he is the only lefty on the team,
So
but
that's tough if he's trying to look for reference to be like, hey,
Right.
which hand should I
right.
go
But
with?
that's the coaches too. Like,
Yeah.
show him, like, you know, he's left-handed. If you don't know, you know now. He's a lefty, so make sure he has the glove on the right, on the proper hand. And so I go over there and I fix that, and I'm like, hey, Jackson, do you want to play catch with Jeremiah? And like, they're trying to play catch, and I see the coach looking at me, and I look over at him, and I'm like, hey, do you guys, I know you guys are down because there's 3 coaches all together, but only 2 of them were there yesterday. So I'm like, do you guys need a hand today? Like, since I'm here, I'll help out. And he like the look of relief that came over his face was like, yes, please.
Did you mention, you're like, I don't know if you listen to PUDs Podcast, and I know I really, really said that I wasn't going to coach T-ball.
I know. But I don't know, man.
But I've had a change of heart.
It was like that sense of like, I don't like disorganization and whatever. And then the other part that like went through my brain for a half second is like, am I like not like a masculine man because I'm not like out there coaching my son? Am I like a bitch? Like, because no other dads, like there was like, I think one other dad that showed up to like watch their kid. So I'm like one of the only dads, like sitting there with all the moms on the bleachers. Like I was like, that like went through my head for a half second. But the big thing was like, I just wanted to be able to help those guys out and whatever. So he was like, yeah, can you go help? Cool, help coach the first baseline if the kids, once they hit, like guide them, reel them in like cattle. So that was it. So yes, I'm a hypocrite. I did go coach my son's first game. I'm hoping that that's where it stops, but I doubt it.
Next to lead the head coach and running the team.
Yeah, no kidding. That's how it always goes.
No, that's cool. I mean, you're just trying to help out, though, ultimately.
Yeah, I want to help those guys out because it's 4, 5, 6-year-olds. They're tough to wrangle in, so it's nice to help them out. I know what my son's like at home, so I can we have a hard time enough trying to wrangle him in at home, and now this guy's trying to wrangle him and 8 other kids in to go play t-ball, like play an organized game. Like it's almost impossible. So I'll help those guys out if they need it, but it's still I begrudgingly did it, but I actually also enjoyed it because I know he really enjoyed me being there. So it was like a nice sense of like, okay, that's my son really appreciates this. So who knows? Maybe I will end up doing it all year, but we'll see. Yeah. What about you, man?
Nothing much. For those of you who don't know, which would be people who aren't listening to us record the podcast or have the knowledge of when we're recording, we're kind of doing a sort of back-to-back. We did one last Thursday and it's Sunday, so not a ton has changed between the last few days. I did get out fishing, doing trout fishing with my buddy Tebow and Wilkie on Friday. Got my trout count up to 20. Went to the very beautiful Hopkinton State Park and Hopkinton State Reservoir over there.
Where's that? Is it Hopkinton, Mass?
Hopkinton, Mass, yeah.
How far is that from here?
About 45 minutes. It's not too bad. It's kind of along the 495 corridor, but really pretty spot. They must stock the hell out of it with trout because I missed like 5 or 6 and landed 9. So my trout count's up to 20.
Wow.
Pretty stoked.
Where do you sit? Like, how's your uncle doing?
I think he's behind me right now. I know that much.
What's Wilkie up to? 1?
Wilkie's got one
big
one. Wilkie had a monster brookie.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool. He actually thought he was stuck on the bottom first when he had it. It's kind of funny. He's like,
it was just a big boy.
Yeah, it was a big boy.
Wow.
Yeah, that reservoir over there is like 40 or 60 feet deep in spots. So it actually is really good for holdover trout, which is basically holdover means that the trout can hold over through seasons because they really need cold water in the summer to live and thrive. So I think he caught. I would be surprised if that trout was stocked this year. It probably was stocked and has been living in that pond eating stuff for a while, but it's kind of cool. He was super excited too. So
yeah.
I was using power bait, which some people might consider cheating to catch a lot of my trout. But
what's that?
It's like an artificially manufactured bait that I guess supposedly tastes like the food that they feed them in the hatchery, so they just can't resist it and they don't get it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
But so I'll use that and I'll use some different lures too. But got some really nice rainbows and it was a beautiful day. It was just sunny and
nice.
a little breezy, but just perfect sort of April day.
Yeah. I'm gonna get out there with you eventually. Yeah. I saw Adam at church today. He invited me to go fishing with him too. He listened.
I didn't really fish as well.
Yeah, he listened to the last podcast and said, you can come fishing with me whenever. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't have a pole. He was like, you can borrow my pole. I'm like, I guess whenever. Like, I'll go do whatever. Whenever.
I'm not even gonna touch the innuendos.
Don't touch the pole. Don't talk about the pole.
We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a fun day. Cool to catch some trout and just great day to be outside.
Nice, man.
All right, so I think now we'll get into the main topic.
Yeah, we got a couple special guests.
We got some people to introduce with us. We're not just alone in the room by ourselves anymore, which is fine.
Yeah, a couple special people in our lives.
You could say that.
Yeah, so we have today we have with us our wives. So you can introduce your wife and I'll introduce my wife. How's that sound?
All right. So this is my wife and best friend, Ash.
Hi.
Been married for about 5 years almost. A kid together. Knew she was the one when I could take her hiking in the snow and whatever. And yeah, she didn't care because I could be crazy and she's crazy sometimes too and stubborn. So that's why we get along, I think, fundamentally.
And we have my wife, Melissa,
Hello. Don't laugh at me.
We're gonna be, what is it, six years in September? 6 years this September we'll be married. And yeah, she's here to join the podcast because they wanted to kind of explain how this podcast kind of came to be. They want to talk about how they met and how in turn you and I met. And so take it away, ladies.
Yeah, sort of.
Well, first though, this wasn't our idea. Don't spread it like we were just marching on.
To be fair, I think Ash did propose this to me as an idea. I think initially you said that we need to have guests on the podcast.
I said you've done a lot of episodes, just the two of you at this point. I think your next episode needs to have a guest. That's all I said.
Are you suggesting that people might get sick of just listening to me and Josh talk back and forth?
No, but I mean, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and
You do.
they do tend to like do some just solo episodes, and they throw a guest here and there. So I just felt like it was time for a guest.
And we have pitched the idea definitely of guests already, but we
Yeah.
figured these would be the best two guests to have first.
You guys are good guests. Good way to start it off. So why don't you guys introduce yourselves and kind of get into your story so we can
where the legend began.
we can indulge the listeners.
This is like the episode 1 prequel of the PUDs podcast.
Yeah.
Very true.
It's the origin story.
Yeah.
It's the origin story of the PUDs.
Well, I mean, I would like to think Mel and I are the reason
We are.
you guys are here, really, doing this podcast. Because it started with us. So I'm trying to think of exactly how old we were when we met. It was before middle school, I want to say. Maybe fifth grade?
Yeah, 5th or 6th grade, maybe.
Yeah, or like the beginning of middle school. And we went to different elementary schools. Well, I guess we should... So we're both from the same town. We're both from Fairhaven, Mass. Fairhaven. Mel still says it a little bit better than I do.
The center of the universe.
No. I used to say it Fairhaven, but I left for a while and I kind of lost that. But yeah, we're both from the same town, but even though it's a tiny town, there's different sections of Fairhaven that Nick likes to make fun of me for. So I'm from the center and Mel's from East Fairhaven. So
Which is like probably a mile from each other, but so I can understand why Nick makes fun of that because we have like 14 different geological like references, and Fairhaven's probably like 5 miles total.
Yep.
I had a big town, but it's funny because I'm the Rhode Islander of the group.
Yeah, so I mean, we were from the same town, but might as well have been just different planets, I guess, in the beginning. So we met through soccer. There's like a huge like soccer thing in our town, Mariner Soccer, that involves Fairhaven, Mattapoisett, Rochester, Marion. So we did the soccer, and that's how we met. We were on the same team together, and I was honestly very afraid of Mel at first, which I call her Mel. Josh calls her Melissa. So you
Because
might hear...
we're not buddies. We're not buddies like that. That's my wife. That's Melissa. And I noticed that when we initially met, like I noticed everybody called her that, and I didn't want to call her that because I didn't want to be like everybody else. I wanted to be somebody special to her. So I wanted to call her Melissa because I am a charmer.
I didn't know that story.
Yeah, well now you know. Now everybody knows. Everybody that listens to the PUDs.
Yeah, so I was kind of afraid of her. I mean, she's very good at soccer. Was very, very good, kind of intense. Like, it was something to see. She turned into like a different person when she would play soccer, which I didn't know at the time. I just knew her as Mel playing soccer. But so we met through soccer, and I was kind of afraid of her.
Yeah, I feel like I was really, really shy. I was super quiet. And so if you only saw me play sports, I feel like people got like a different perception of me, because then off the field I'd be quiet, but I feel like people took that as like thought I was better than them, or like I was rude or standoffish, where really like I was equally as scared to them to like start a conversation. So I feel like most people just saw me play and then they were like, oh, this girl doesn't talk, she probably doesn't want to be my friend. But that's kind of how I remember it too. And then yeah, I feel like we kind of stopped playing soccer on the same team for a little while, and then we reconnected, I feel like in 8th grade.
Yeah.
I became really good friends with this girl named Mary, which everyone always used to make fun of how I say her name, but and she was best friends with Ashley, Sarah, who's one of our best friends, and then
Friend of the pod, Sarah.
Friend of the pod, Sarah.
Yep.
Hi, Sarah. She's
Hashtag
probably
pod
laughing
friend.
hysterically at this right now.
Oh, probably.
And our friend Katie, and so they kind of had a little group, and me and Mary were in homeroom together. And so we just started hanging out. And then from there, I kind of just like inserted them into their friend group. I just invited myself, I think, to like everything they were going to until finally they were like, okay, I guess like you can be in our friend group since you just show up at everything that we're at. So
I'm glad you inserted yourself, because it didn't take long for me to realize that she's not the scary soccer player I thought she was. She's actually quite the opposite. So I'm glad you inserted yourself. I don't really remember it that way, though, I gotta say.
I'm just giggling because I'm 5 years old and you just keep saying, I'm glad you inserted yourself. That's what she said.
Okay. Well, I'm her words, not mine.
I inserted myself.
Oh my goodness.
I don't really remember it that way, though. I don't know. It's one of those things. All I really remember is she played soccer. She was really good. I was kind of afraid of her. Then we became friends, and I realized, why was I ever afraid of her? It never really made sense. I was also not very good at soccer, but...
So then what happened after that? Did you guys end up going away to college together? Did you guys go to the same college?
We did not.
No, we didn't.
Listen, I know what college you went to. I don't know what college Ashley went to. Me and Ashley don't have deep conversations like that.
Mel went to Bridgewater.
Yep.
Which is a very popular school to go to around here. And I went to URI because I want to be different, I guess. Which URI is University of Rhode Island.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Ashley lived on campus, and me and our other friend Sarah both went to Bridgewater, but we commuted. So we would spend a lot of the weekends just like crashing URI parties.
As many of us did.
Yes.
Well, I crashed the Bridgewater parties, so I didn't crash the URI parties.
Going to hookah bars.
Yep. Going to, where was it? Like Narragansett, where all the apartments were.
Yep.
Just like walking into people's living rooms like, hey, what's up?
Yep. Oh, drinking Franzia.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of Franzia. Boxes of it.
Yeah.
Even when people make you throw it out of a dumpster because you get caught drinking Franzia.
Yep. I don't know if you were there for that, though. There was one time where, we deserved to get caught. We were being really dumb. I think our door was like half open. We were drinking Franzia and, just Saturday night and...
Getting a sexy wine buzz.
Yep, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Franzia, I wouldn't call it a sexy wine buzz.
More like a hungover, pounding headache wine buzz.
Exactly.
All
It's
right.
It's a
exactly.
passive-aggressive wine buzz.
Gotcha.
It's like
Exactly.
regret.
And we got caught, and we had to take the box and go into the bathroom and just dump it out while the RA watched us dump it out.
College.
But yeah, so I think through that, going to different URI events, then eventually I feel like that's when midway through college we met Nick.
Yeah. So I was in a band called Full Void for a while, kind of around the Providence area, and I had mutual friends from Cumberland that you knew from URI and got you to go because I think it was back in the pay-for-play sort of days, which people that don't know what that is, basically we'd get like 75 tickets or 50 or whatever, and you'd have to sell them in advance. And now I realize they were pretty much screwing the bands, which was happening, but we were like 18, 19, so we just were excited to play out. But anyways, you were a friend of a friend that ended up getting a ticket, and I met you at the show. Actually, all of you came to the show. And I
Not
think
me.
Josh didn't
Not
come
the
yet.
first show. So, not the very
Which-
first show. Are you talking about the one that I met
At
you
Jerky's, yeah.
at? Mel wasn't at that show.
You weren't? Okay.
No.
That's funny.
She
That
came
was
to
just you and Krista?
Yeah, so with going to that
I'm
show,
messing up the story already.
it's fine. Hey, listen,
Listen,
this
I'm
was a
gonna-
long time ago.
I'm going to blow my story too, so that's just us.
It was a long time ago, but no, it was. I just remember one of my friends who lived on my floor in my dorm. she was like, oh, I'm going to a show. A guy that I've been talking to, some of his buddies from high school have a band, and they're doing this Battle of the Bands things.
Yeah, it was at Cherokee in Providence.
Which no longer exists.
Rest in peace. It's called something else now. It still exists.
Yeah,
It's
so...
like a divey bar, 3rd or 4th floor of like a building in Providence.
Yep.
Pretty much smells like beer. The floor is really sticky.
Yeah, exactly.
All those Providence bars are exactly the same.
Yeah.
They all stink.
But yeah, it was, and she's like, oh, do you want to come? And I was like, yeah, sure. I'll come. So I remember going to that. I remember we like couldn't get in at first. We like walked around for a while.
Yeah, it was one of those, it was like an all-day thing too, and I think we didn't actually, I don't even think you actually saw us play.
I did not.
Later.
So I actually had to leave early because I had a group project I had to meet
A
for.
likely story.
No, I really did. I did not want to do the group project. So I had to take the RIPTA, which if you're from Rhode Island, you know what the RIPTA is. Basically just public transportation. I had to take the RIPTA from Providence back to URI, which is probably like a 45-minute bus ride. So yeah, I didn't actually get to see you play. I did meet you, like we shook hands or something like that, I think. So I got to meet
I remember.
A nice consensual handshake. Sparks were flying.
It was a lovely consensual handshake. He smiled, and I was like, I need to get her number.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
But it didn't happen quickly, though.
No, you were.
If I recall, you were dating somebody at the time.
That may or may not be true, to be completely honest.
Yeah, so you were dating somebody at the time. Fast forward to like September, October 2010.
Yeah.
You...
Around that time frame. But I think in between then, though, I was going to say the first time I met Mel and Sarah, though, would have been... I forget if they came to a show first before I went to Fairhaven, or the first time I met that was in Fairhaven.
I don't know. I remember there was one show that we went to fairly early in knowing you, or maybe we didn't even know you yet.
Probably would have been at the Wheelhouse in Narragansett.
Yeah, it was super far, and it was like on the ocean. We were like, are we even at the right place? Like our GPS stopped working like halfway through. Yeah. And I think that was the one, and we were young because I remember they made like huge X's on our hands. There was no way we were getting served alcohol.
This person is not 21.
But that actually might have been the first time. But I think we left before we even got to like talk to you.
Okay. Yeah, it makes sense.
And then the first recollection I have of meeting you was at Friendly's in Fairhaven.
Yeah.
And it was his first time he had ever been to Friendly's, which I was shocked by.
Isn't Friendly's like a Cumberland, like... Where did Friendly's originate?
I don't know.
It's definitely only a New England thing.
It is, yeah.
Pretty sure it is a New England thing. I don't know whether it's... I don't think it's Rhode Island. Maybe it's Mass or something like that. I remember you and Sarah coming to Ash's house first, and then we went after that.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
But yeah, I remember that was the first meeting. So.
You were brave. Looking back, like, we were like, yeah, you're going to meet us at the house, and then you're going to have to come to Friendly's where we asked you, like... ton of questions.
A lot of questions. I was peppered with questions, if I recall correctly. But then
I went through the same thing, bro. I'm not all about those questions though. Yeah. I didn't have to answer those. I don't answer to anybody. No questions.
I think that's how the three of us met. So
yeah.
I think we got to lead into at some point how Josh.
Yeah, no. So I fast forward to when 2012, 2011, maybe 2012, probably 2012. So my best friend Adam, me and him, we've known each other for a very, very long time, and he started working at Titleist, and he had a friend Mark that we would hang out with, and we went to we did like a trip together to Six Flags, and so I rode up with them and friend of the podcast Sarah, and I'm gonna keep saying that.
It's her official title.
Yeah, and then so I rode up with them, and Melissa rode up with whoever she was with at that point, and then it's gonna be an embarrassing story for you, so I hope you buckle up.
Before the embarrassing story, you used to get like season passes to there?
Yeah, so we did end up getting season passes to Six Flags.
I remember we went with you guys.
Yeah.
Not to detract, but I was always curious about.
Yeah, I think it was only like a couple years we did it, but yeah, I don't know if at that point we had season passes, but so yeah, we got to Six Flags and whatever. with my group. I guess they had made us shirts or whatever. We had like these, what were they, pink shirts or something like that, purple shirts. Yeah, that the girls had made for us or whatever. And so we're just whatever. We're just doing Six Flags things, just being Six Flags boys, acting foolish. And,
Going on Superman.
Yeah, going on the Superman.
Or Bizarro,
Yeah.
whatever it was called.
And then, so we go back to like the car for lunch. And so somebody says to me, "Hey, have you seen Melissa's titties? They're huge." And I'm like, "No, I gotta get a peek at those warlocks."
Now, let me just interject here. So, Ashley gets like, what a beautiful handshake, that smile melted a room, all these nice things, and then this is the story that I get.
Hey, I'm honest. It's about to get sweeter. It's about to get way better.
I think it only can go up.
It's only gonna go up.
I think what did you call them, warlocks?
Gotta get a glimpse of those warlocks.
Superbad. They definitely said that.
Yeah, exactly.
Superbad.
Exactly, because it was right when Superbad. It was like right around the time Superbad came out. So like, yeah, of course I'm gonna say that. So we go back in there, and I get a glimpse.
Josh is climbing out of the hole slowly.
Yeah, and but then like, I don't know if we like had a conversation or whatever, but I was just like, all right, like. It was something that captivated me besides the warlocks. Something captivated me, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna make that girl mine. And then fast forward like to a couple weeks later, we were at that kid Mark's house for like we were having a fire at his house or whatever, and swimming in the pool or whatever. And Josh enacted plan get that girl. So I noticed she was like sitting on the edge of the pool, and I like was splashing around in the pool. All the other guys are like wrestling or some other nonsense, and I'm like, yeah, I got bigger things to do. So I sashay my way down to the end of the pool and start just putting my charm on. And like next thing you know, like we're hanging out, and she ended up making me a s'mores, and we a few weeks later, I think we go to Six Flags again. And this time I'm like, all right, I want to ride home with her. I'll drive her home, and like you guys all go in your own car. So
Very smooth.
Yeah,
Very
it was smooth. But and you know how guys are. Like if I told Adam that, like, listen, I think I'm gonna like ask this girl out or whatever. He was like, all right, I'll take care of that. Like you go do your thing. So we rode home, and we had like just a very deep, like nice conversation with one another, and like we just clicked like the whole ride home. This is somebody I've only known for a couple weeks. The whole ride home, it was just like a good conversation, and we were just connecting on like a nice like level of I don't know. No, it wasn't even at that point. It wasn't passion or anything like that. I don't think I had made any move.
Fiery passion.
Yeah, no, I don't think I had made any moves or anything like that. It was literally just connecting on like a intellectual level at that point. So it was just after that, like we had clicked so nicely on that ride home. It was like, all right, like I'm really into this girl. And then we ended up dating. Like towards the end of that summer, and yeah, that was kind of history from there on. But yeah, you can tell your side of the story. That's my side, and I'm sticking to it.
No, that was right.
Yeah.
Well, we both have guys who pursued us.
That's right.
Oh, you're very pursuable women.
Thank you.
I don't know what else to say, but yeah, well, that's basically how it went, and I don't regret it. I don't regret it one bit.
Something about how you always smelled like coffee beans from Dunkin'. Slur someone right in.
Something about how you always smelled like fish and chips from generations.
From basically making fish and chips on every Friday.
Did I smell? Probably not.
I think good. You're always wearing like different types of cologne.
Josh always does smell good.
But you know what? But I'm gonna tell you why right now. Because in middle school, I was the stinky fat kid. And it like scarred me for life. And I was like, I never want to be a stinky boy ever again. So I bathe. And I like make myself so I don't stink because I don't want to offend anybody.
I have to say that was probably the first thing I noticed about you, Nick, is I thought you smelled really good.
Do you have that I had good personal hygiene?
Yeah, no, you just smelled really
Like,
good. I don't know if it was like the cologne you were wearing at the time,
thing to be like,
or
he has good teeth
I
and he
just
smells
remember.
okay.
Well, yeah, I just remember coming back from like being at your parents' house for the first time, and like my clothes smelled like you, and I just remember being like, "Oh, this smells so good." And
Nice.
I think I remember
definitely
from
remember
you being funny was one of them.
He's,
But also,
he's pretty funny. Don't give him a big head.
Yeah.
He's way more funny than
like I know him now. Just
Yeah. He's actually really.
We're going to talk about this when we get home.
He's actually really dull once you get to know him. He's
Yeah.
not that funny.
I stink.
turns on for the podcast.
Yeah, that's it.
But yeah, funny, and also like I feel like he was somebody that took charge of things, which was nice. Like he was saying about the T-ball, like I feel like that's just Josh's personality. Like he's gonna go somewhere, he's gonna give you a plan, he's gonna tell you all of his intentions up front. Like he just, yeah, I feel like, and I was like one of those people that I could just like get swooped up by the wind and like go any which way. So I was like, oh, somebody has a plan and has like a direction of where we're going. That's good.
So guys, if you're out there listening, there's a girl out there that just wants you to make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
So make that decision.
It's true.
Yeah.
But so after that, so we started dating for a bit, and then you started introducing me to your friend of the podcast, Sarah, and friend of the podcast / Nick's wife, Ashley. I remember when I finally met Nick he was doing a show at a bar actually in my town of New Bedford, Kirby's Irish Pub. And I went down there because you had invited me down there and asked me if I wanted to go check out like Ashley's boyfriend's band,
Yeah.
Full Void. Big fan of Full Void.
Yeah.
Can I say something
Yeah.
though? That, I mean, I don't think it will make Nick like angry now, but let me just say that was not an easy feat getting him to this band. He was like, a band? Your friend's boyfriend's in a band? What's like a band? I'm like, a band? Like they play instruments and sing. And he was like,
Why would I
I've
wanna
never
go
gone
to
to
the
a
band?"
band before. I don't know anyone in a band.
I am from the inner city. This is the thing about you Fairhaven girls that you don't realize. I was like nervous to talk to you because I was from the city, and you guys are from the little town of Fairhaven, and I'm like the whole like I guess stigma of Fairhaven girls where like you guys were like bitchy and like I'm better than you because I live in Fairhaven. Like that was the whole from New Bedford. That was the whole Fairhaven stigma. So there was already that stigma where I was already afraid to talk to you because I was just some like little inner city kid that like I didn't listen to rock and roll music. I listened to hip hop and R&B my entire life growing up, and we're gonna do an episode.
Earth, Wind, and Fire, and the Doobie Brothers. So you listen.
The Doobies.
I would say you didn't listen to any rock.
Well, that
but
was only because my parents listened to that stuff. But like throughout the core of my life, like the things I listened to was hip hop and all that. And I never went to a real concert before in my life, so it was like for you to present that to me, it was like out of my comfort zone and. You trying to change me into that Fairhaven lifestyle where I'm fully domesticated now. Like you fully domesticated. I've said this before. When you met me, I was selling bootleg DVDs and dime bags of weed. Like that's what I was doing. I
never knew about the DVDs.
Oh yeah, bootleg DVDs and dime bags. Like that's what I was doing because I was collecting unemployment. Well, statute of limitations. This is outside of the statute of limitations. You can't get me, IRS. But yeah, that's what I was doing. I was like getting unemployment and like subsidizing like whatever I could, trying to get whatever money I could.
I do think it's funny that this is all coming out of Mel asking you if you wanted to go see a band in New Bedford. Nonetheless.
Do you see what I go through? Like
it's not like it was like
hey, have anything to do Friday night? Want to watch a band? And Josh goes down this rabbit hole of she's trying to change me. She's trying to steal my identity.
I was a broken boy. I'm a domesticated man now. I don't know what you want from me. I'm trying to tell the whole story so everybody understands. So if there's anybody that can relate, they can say, "Oh, I'm not going to be like this forever." Eventually, I'll care what throw pillows look like on my new couch or whatever. But yeah, so Like, I wasn't into bands, but I went and I met Ashley and Nick, and I met Ashley's dad, Tony, and I kept calling him Eugene Levy because your dad looks just like Eugene Levy.
He does.
He
And
does,
I have to
yeah,
say,
it's a strong
podcast
resemblance.
friend Sarah is the one who first pointed that out. We were watching American Pie one night, and she was like, "Oh my God, your dad looks just like the dad in American Pie, Eugene Levy."
Yeah.
And I
He
was
does
like,
have- he
"No,
does
he
bear a
doesn't."
certain
Like,
resemblance,
I
yeah.
definitely was like, "I don't think so." And then the next time I saw my dad, he walked into the room, whatever. I was like, "Oh my God,
That's Eugene.
he literally looks just like him."
So I kept calling him. I don't know if you know this, but I kept calling him that like the entire night. And then before he left at the end of the night, he was like, "Hey, nice to meet you. Don't you ever fucking call me Eugene Levy again." And that was it. But
That sounds like something Tony would say.
yeah. So
Yeah,
I remember.
I met you guys briefly too, but because we were playing music for like 2 hours on
Right.
and off, or 3 hours on and off, I think.
Yeah.
Me and Alex, my bassist, I think at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's
Yeah.
funny to hear the dynamic, like what was going on. 'Cause
Yeah.
I probably just met you really briefly and was like, "Hey,
Yeah.
I'm Nick." Bye.
And then so that was when we first met, and I was like, "Oh, this guy seems cool," like whatever. And then we started hanging out more and more, and then eventually we got to the point where we're going on vacations with one another, with our like just us two and you two
Yeah.
going away, and then turning into a yearly tradition just because of like the way that we hit it off, and just the things that we have in common, and the ease that we have of like being able to.
Yeah, it's easy to go away and hang out.
Yeah,
'Cause
exactly.
I feel like we're both super organizational.
Yeah, but then the thing about us is like we like a nice organization, but then after that, it's like you can also go with the flow.
Yeah, you can just
Like as long as everything, the core is set up up to what we're gonna do, then it's like, all right, now from there we can kind of just free flow and do the things that we want to do. So that was kind of the origin of how this all kicked off, and here we are. What did I say, 2012? So
11
almost,
years,
yeah,
11 years later.
11 years. Like 11 years later, here we all are recording a podcast, having a little fun, and yeah, madly in love with our wives and just enjoying each other's companionship for another day.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you guys have anything else?
Yeah,
Do you want to add anything else to the
Yeah,
pod? Anything that we missed?
I just think it's funny how I met Nick at one of his shows, and you also met Nick at one of his shows. I was thinking that.
Yeah, but only one of us married him.
Josh didn't like me that much.
No, it is crazy to think though, like how young we were when we all met.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like 19.
yeah.
'Cause-
19 or 20.
And the thing is, when you like this is for a lot of relationships as you go throughout your lifetime. Like when you meet good people, like you want to keep those good people in your life. Like
Yeah, for sure.
I have a ton of friends I grew up with. Like I love all my friends, but the people that really make an impact on you and people that you deem as good people and as people that you want to spend your time with, you choose to spend your time with and continue to build those relationships as you go along. Like now we both have children, and we want each one of us to be within those children's lives. So that's like part of what it means to, like, they say it takes a village. Well, that village is just built with, it isn't just built with family members, it's also built with friends. So
Absolutely.
that's kind of where we've gotten to in our lives, where we've built this friendship. And I have a lot of friends that I met through you guys, through Melissa, through Ashley, through Nick. Like I've met a lot of friends through you people that I've continued to build relationships with, and I have my own friends that I've continued to build relationships with, and that's what it's like to be in a nice cohesive group and be a part of a village, quote unquote.
Yeah, it's cool to get that sort of clique of people where it's like we're all in the, I don't want to say level playing field, but we're all just kind of in the same mindset, and it's just easy to hang out.
Yeah.
And it started with us, Mel.
And what's funny too, I feel like, not to cut you guys.
It did start. You guys get the credit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How
It
many,
did
and how
start
many
with you guys.
people can say that they're still friends with somebody from like 5th, 6th grade? You
that
know?
they originally were petrified of.
Yeah, like that's.
Yeah.
That's true. That's
many
true.
people can
That's
say
pretty
that?
good.
Yeah, it's,
And not many people can say they were with somebody through most of college
yeah,
and then
no,
married them.
no.
Yeah.
I remember, I won't say this person's name, but I remember somebody one time.
It's our next girlfriend.
I forget how it was somebody's ex-boyfriend. I forget how they worded it, but they said something like, you know, do you guys feel like you missed out on anything, in your
okay,
college
gotcha.
years?
Yeah,
because
no.
when we started dating, it was like the beginning of my sophomore year, of his junior year.
And despite the fact that you're older than me.
Yeah.
I was like the older woman.
But I just remember this person being like, do you feel like you missed out on those like wild college years because you guys were like together and like...
Well, there's this whole idealistic sort of thing, I think, from movies like we were mentioning American Pie briefly because of how your dad looks like Eugene Levy, but there's this like this ideal of like this is like the wild college stuff, but if you find someone that you're serious about, it's like you're not going to miss out on anything. I don't feel like I missed out on anything because I wasn't with like a bunch of girls in college or something.
That's what we talk. We actually talk about that a lot. Is like there's a lot of tropes that you get from movies and TV, and just what society tells you is like a normal thing to do. Like go to college, enjoy yourself, have the party years and things like that. Like what a relationship should look like and things like that. That's not necessarily like what it's supposed to be. Like if you're meant to be with somebody, or if you're comfortable in a relationship, there's nothing saying like, oh, you missed all this wildness that you got to experience during college. No, I have now these however many years I spent with my significant other that we can look back and cherish on a podcast.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So
yeah, I mean everybody finds their own way, but for sure it's like when I do get that though, like that's like people, I guess that if you don't meet someone as serious, like maybe you have that sense of regret of like, oh, I could have done this in college, but I had a girlfriend throughout all of it or most of it. And between being in clubs with friends and houses and all this shit that we've done with you guys, like there's been some wild times that have happened. Yeah, I don't have any regrets or feel like I ever missed out on anything.
No, me either. I just remember, we can talk about after who this person was, but I don't know. I'll always kind of remember that question. Like, do you feel like you missed out?
Yeah. And I mean, that's how it goes. Like, I remember a couple of my friends, like, when they met their significant other, and they're like, I would, like, my buddy Adam, I said, when he said he was going to marry his wife, and I love Adam's wife, I love Katie with all my heart, like, that's Uncle Adam, that's Auntie Katie to my son, like, but I remember asking him, and I'm pretty sure him and Katie have talked about this, if not, I'm sorry, buddy, but I want to say it, but I remember asking him, like, are you sure? I called him up on the phone when he told me that he was going to propose to his wife. I said, are you sure this is what you want to do? And he said yes. And I said, all right, I support you 110%. Like that, because that's my best friend. Like that's one of my best friends in my entire life. Like I'm going to support you. The people that care about you, the people that love you, they're going to support you. They're not going to ask you if like if you missed anything, you feel like you missed anything. Those people are the people that love you and care about you, that are like, all right, I'm going to support you 110%, unless you're doing something that's going to be detrimental to you or your family. Like, then hopefully those people that love you and care about you are going to tell you, hey, you're kind of fucking up right now. Like, you need to fix what you got to fix.
Yeah, that definitely can happen.
That's kind of like missed experiences is all perspective.
Yeah.
Because while they're quote unquote, like to bring back Ashley and Nick, that person saying they're missing out that experience, that person wasn't having the experience they were having, which was like blossoming a relationship in college. So it's kind of, I feel like, putting like value on certain relationships or certain milestones, where just having people that care about you and even being able to make like memories is a blessing. It doesn't necessarily matter what kind of memories you're making if that's your life. I feel like it's the same thing with like women. It's like, oh, if you don't get married, if you don't have kids by this certain point, if you don't do that, you're missing out. It's like they're just living their lives. They're probably having great experiences that you've never taken a part of, you know?
There's no playbook on how you're supposed to live your life. If you're enjoying your life, hopefully it's not in a reckless manner that's going to be detrimental to you or your family. Like, it should be whatever you want it to be. It doesn't have to be the same way. And we talked about this for parenting and what it's like when you have a baby and all that. There's no guide, there's no playbook on what you're supposed to do. No, everybody has their own unique experience in life, and that's what makes life fun and enjoyable.
Yeah, for sure. When you were mentioning about Adam mentioning to you about when he was going to propose to Katie, it reminded me of, I vividly remember when you told me that you were going to propose to Mel.
Yeah.
Which I think we're at, what the hell is that bar in Fairhaven that's on Main Street?
That's the town crier.
The town crier.
Love the town crier.
Yeah.
$2 picture of Pabst Blue Ribbon.
You literally, and Josh being so focused as he is, you were like intense. You're like I don't even know how I think you said it very off the cuff, which kind of is probably why I remembered it, but you're like, I'm going to ask her to marry me. And I'm like...
You guys were young, too.
Yeah.
We
You
were
hadn't
young.
dated that long by that point.
No.
I mean, again, I always compare it to me, and again, it's our own experiences. Mel was talking about perspective. It's like, to us, I'm like, man, like, I haven't really thought about that yet, and we've been dating longer.
Yeah.
But I remember you were like...
I knew.
You were a lioness on the hunt.
I prefer a lion, but that's okay.
Lioness.
That's because lionesses actually hunt for food. The lions
Sit at home and just...
They really, I mean, yeah, if you do though. Most of the female lions
So
do
I was
hunting.
the lion. You were the lioness.
Yeah, I was the lioness. But yeah, that's... I mean, I knew. When I knew, I knew. And we had like a long engagement, and because we weren't in stable situations in our lives, like she was still finishing school, like I hadn't found my career yet, so it was like I didn't propose and get engaged to Melissa to say, yeah, we're gonna do this within the next 6 months. It was like, no, I'm committing myself to you, and if you accept my commitment, like I know I will do whatever it takes to make sure we have a nice life together and all that stuff. And that was my perspective of it at that point. Like, and that's what I pitched to her parents, because her parents were like, "Oh, this is kind of quick, don't you think?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but this isn't going to happen within the next year. This is going to be something that we're going to grow to. I just want you to know, like, I love and I care about your daughter, and if she accepts this, then we're going to build a family together, and it's going to start at that point. And once we get married, then takes it to that next level." So that was my thought process on it.
And then he brought me to Fort Phoenix. For a guy who doesn't like Fairhaven, he spends a lot of time there, but...
That's because I was gonna bring you down to the dike in New Bedford. Yeah, no, thank you.
The dike.
But then he brings me to like the highest point, and I was completely shocked and like literally almost toppled over the mountainside.
Yeah, in Fort Phoenix. And then we went for ice cream. Oh no, we skipped ice cream because you were like, because I told you we were gonna go get ice cream. Then we skipped ice cream because you were like all flustered. Yeah. That was funny.
No ice
Yeah,
cream.
I wasn't as quite as romantic with Ash probably, but I think when I got you a ring and proposed to you, I in my mind thought it'd be cute to like leave it on the a ring on the countertop in our condo, and we were actually rushing around packing to go up to New Hampshire.
Of course.
Shocker.
Yeah, a real shocker there.
You ever been there?
A few times.
Not this month.
Yeah. But yeah, we were getting ready in the summer, and I remember getting a ring and picking that out and doing everything. And I actually went over there with my dad and picked up the ring and stuff. I think I had work going on in my car, which incidentally went longer, so I couldn't go get it. So I was like scrambling.
Day.
I was scrambling. I'm like, let me go to my parents. So I think my dad picked me up in North Providence, went to my parents, and went to go get the ring at lunch, and kind of came back and formulated my plan. I'm like, oh, I'll just leave it on here, and like with an open ring box, who's not going to notice that with a ring in it?
Me.
It turns out Ash is pretty damn oblivious when it comes to noticing engagement rings on a countertop.
I was
to be fair, we were
stressed.
scrambling. I think it was like we had a busy day. I forgot what you were doing. You were probably still actually working on getting your masters and stuff.
Yeah.
And working and whatnot. And I left it on the countertop in our kitchen in North Providence at the condo. And like I watched you walk by it like 25 times. It was wild. We were
25 times.
It was many times, and we were packing to go the next day, so we were kind of scrambling and stuff. And finally, at one point, I'm like, "Did you notice anything?" I was almost getting frustrated, which was stupid. And then she noticed it, and I got down on one knee and did the thing, but it worked. It worked out.
Perfect,
But it was
though.
funny.
It was just the two of us in our
Yeah,
condo,
yeah.
which is honestly what I wanted. I
Yeah.
did not want this whole big
Yeah, we didn't-
display with people there, and
Yeah,
hey,
no-
if people like that, that's great.
Yeah, if you're into that, but
for me.
it's like when I see. It's very common now. It seems like people get like photographers to watch them instead. I don't know.
That's
I
my
just wasn't
worst
into
nightmare.
that. Yeah.
I don't think.
I wanted it intimate, just the
Hey,
two
it's
of
fine
us.
if you like that. That's fine, but it wasn't my idea of a private sort of that moment sharing it
Yeah.
together kind of deal. Because
I think those with the photographers are staged, though. I think they do the thing, and then they're like, all right, let's do it again, but now we're going to take nice pictures. Yeah. I think that's how that
We
works.
took like some selfies while like holding beers. Yeah. I remember we tried to FaceTime my parents and they weren't answering.
Yeah, your parents
and then we
didn't
tried to
answer us.
FaceTime my sisters, they weren't answering.
Nobody answered. My
and then
parents answered.
ironically, your parents, who were probably the least on their cell phones, out of
Yeah, at
everyone
the
in
time-
our
at the time,
family
for sure.
answered right away. But they also knew, your dad
Yeah,
went and got
yeah,
the ring with
they
you
knew
that
it was
day.
him. Well, I remember my mom saying, I actually wasn't sure about that night, but my mom's like, once you have that, like, I just know you, like, you're not going to be able to wait. And then, yeah, I couldn't wait. My original idea was to propose to you on a mountain or something. Again, no shocker there. But I really was like, what if I lose the ring, like, along the way, which is probably not totally improbable. And I just was thinking, I'm like, I'll just do it somewhere safe, like the condo or like somewhere else.
I was like an idiot too. Like we went out to dinner beforehand, and I like kept the ring in my pocket the entire time, even though I knew I was gonna go back and do this thing like at Fort Phoenix and Fayehaven. We went to Newport to like some restaurant in Newport, and went back to Fayehaven, and for some reason I kept the ring in my pocket the whole time like a dummy. But it's and then she didn't believe me. Like when I got down on one knee. She was like,
well, we were so young. Like, what was I, 22, 23?
Yeah.
I was like, no. And then I was like, are you sure? Are you sure you want to hang out with me for the rest of my life?
Yeah.
But then my parents were cute. We got there and they had like all champagne set up.
Yeah.
Aww.
And then I was like, they knew? And you were like, yeah.
Everybody knew. Everybody knew except
Besides me.
Good. But yeah, and you know what's funny too? I think about this, like, how close we are now. Like, you weren't in my wedding and I wasn't in your wedding. Like, it was just, we've just, like I said, relationships and friendships blossom. Like, you don't know where they're going to go. And then here we are, like, after all these years, we weren't, we weren't, like, core in each other's, like, younger lives. Because that's mostly what my groomsmen were, with people I grew up with, and I think it was probably
it's the same with mine.
I'd
I had some work people that have all become great friends now, so it's one of those things. But yeah, for sure, it just happens. You have a lot of high school people typically, which I'm still good friends with everybody too. Like, if any of my high school buddies are listening, like, absolutely. But it just changes as you get older. Yeah,
same with me. I'm still friends with all those people, but yeah, as you get older, like I said, you find the good people that you want to keep in your life, and you keep those people there, and you just keep growing with them. So that's basically how that goes. But is that it? Did we hit on everything, ladies?
I think so.
I think so.
Let's have you all on again.
Yeah, welcome.
Sometime, for sure.
Welcome back to the podcast. I mean, welcome to the podcast for the first time. We'll have you back.
Did we have a commercial?
Do you want to tell the baby story? We save that for another time.
Oh gosh.
Let's save it for another time.
Yeah. This has already taken a lot, and who knows how many followers you might lose from listening to us already. So
like the end of the Marvel movies, Melissa will be back on another episode.
We'll have to definitely get them back. So I think ready to go into the descent.
Let's do it.
Stand-up on the
I did. And I was at T-Ball all day on Saturday, so I didn't get a chance to watch it. Did you guys get a chance to watch it?
Yeah, we checked it out. It was really funny. Highly recommend if anybody wants to check it out. It goes kind of his journey of detoxing and stuff, and just super, super funny.
Yeah,
as expected.
He's great, and he did go to rehab, but he's hilarious. I'm gonna check that out probably tonight. I'll check that out. I did start watching Chainsaw Man. If you're into anime, so anybody that's into anime, Chainsaw Man's like, I think it's a newer anime, but he's just.
Is it a man with a chainsaw?
Yeah, 2 chainsaws on his hands. One comes out of his face.
It's like a amped up Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah, basically, but he fights demons. So yeah,
of course,
he's cool.
Of course, he does.
Of course he does. Like every other anime, but yeah, I started watching that. So if anybody's into Chainsaw Man or anybody that's into anime, well, that was pretty good. So check that out. But I think you did something else, right?
I was gonna give a shout out to this place Rocco's that's in Millbury. My buddy Tebow got some basically donuts and whatnot from there for eating on Friday morning when we went go trout fishing.
Nice homemade donuts.
Oh yeah, like super tasty, really good. And apparently all the extra donut dough they use to make breakfast sandwiches every day that you can just pick up there. So he threw me like a sausage, egg, and cheese breakfast sandwich. And I knew it was gonna be a good day from like 9 o'clock when he
from breakfast sandwich.
No, he knew. I just knew it was a nice day. He threw me a breakfast sandwich at like 9 o'clock. It was delicious. I'm like, all right, it's on today.
Oh,
it's gonna be a good Friday.
That's awesome. Breakfast sandwich hits your hands, and you just know it's gonna be a good day.
Yeah, you can just tell by the way it tastes. And so I was anticipating it. I was really hungry, and we had some cinnamon rolls from them and. Couple of I think Wilkie got like an apple fritter that was just ridiculous. And some of their donuts, they do like mystery donut boxes.
Yeah.
But
what was the name of it?
Rocco's in Millbury.
In Millbury?
Yeah.
Nice.
But we're going to have to, I think Ash already wants to take a trip there at some point.
Let me know, because I love a good donut. I love a good donut. That's like probably one of my favorite things is donuts. Donuts and cookies. I'm like a sucker for both of those things.
Got anything else lined up this week coming up? Or
we got T-ball practice on Tuesday. Just
gonna be the first base coaching.
I don't know, dude. We'll see. We'll see what happens when I get there. But no, that's basically about it.
Yeah, I'll be headed up to do trail maintenance, despite the fact that it looks like there's a lot of snow up there. But I'm just gonna be stubborn and probably go up and.
Isn't it crazy? Isn't it crazy that like over here, it hasn't been great weather, but we're talking maybe 60s all week.
Yeah, I mean it's not super crazy. I mean we've been up a lot of times. Memorial Day is always a wild card up there, and so early May I probably should have known a little bit better that there's still gonna be snow up there. But it shouldn't be too much that I can't go up and brush my trail and do that. And
do you have to go up this week?
I'm supposed to go up before the beginning of the summer, and it's just the way that things are falling. Like, I'm not really going to be able to get up there. I'm probably still going to do at least 2 or 3 more day trips this year. But it's nice to go up and be able to take your time and not wake up super like 4:00 here and then get home at like 7 or 8 o'clock.
Is there definitely snow on that trail?
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, there's definitely above 3,500 feet. It sounds like.
So we'll be talking spikes and snowshoes.
Yeah, I'll be doing spikes. I refuse to bring my snowshoes at this point because I'm just done carrying snowshoes in my backpack at this point. But we'll see if I regret that or not. But hopefully get up and do some smaller hikes. So I'm sure I'll be able to talk about that next time. And be sharing some probably photos and videos on the PUDs Podcast social medias as well.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. And everybody already, if you don't know, you can follow us on all social media at PUDs Podcast. And you can email us at pudspod@outlook.com. And like, review, subscribe, share us with a friend.
Let us know what you thought about our new co-hosts.
Yeah,
they're probably gonna make their way into a few of these things.
Yeah, give them a shout out. And they're the first of probably many different guests that we have on. We have a lot of people in our lives that have done a lot of different things, and that's the big thing about us, right? Is like the different like paths that we've taken in life.
The PUDs.
Yeah, the PUDs, exactly. The PUDs of our lives is like very different. We've been on different trails, and somehow we've converged into this one trail where we're at now. So that's it. But
all right, do we want to try to do a combined goodbye after Josh does his normal trademark?
Bippity boppity, give me the zoppity.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. PUDs Podcast was produced and recorded in Black Cat Studios by the Pud Boys. Find us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you enjoyed, please consider leaving us a review and subscribing. Find us on social media, and we'll see you next time.